Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk, or should I say, from Napoli to the world, welcome to Napoli Talk, because that's the new catchphrase that De Laurentiis used to launch the new shirts and introduce Napoli to this new era, to this new international era where he wants to take us. But come on, De Laurentiis, admit it, you watch the show, 80% of those words are exactly the same to my introduction, and come on, I'm not gonna ask for any royalty, but just admit it that you watched the show. But anyways, we'll get to De Laurentiis and the shirts a little bit later. What I first want to do is I want to go over what some of the things that the other teams are doing, what moves they're making, so that we know what we're up against when the season starts, because guys, the players already on retreat. So let's start with Milan, and as you guys know, they've sold Tonali to Newcastle, and for me, even though they're getting a lot of money for a good player, that is still going to be a huge loss. But they hope that with the signing of Christian Pulisic, they're able to close that gap a little bit. But if you take a look at Christian Pulisic, he's got 1 goal and 1 assist in the past season. So he's not closing any gaps. Well, maybe he is closing one gap, and that's the one left by Ibrahimovic, because someone's got to take his place with the medical staff. I mean, take a look at how many games this man has missed in the past season for Chelsea at such a young age as well. Honestly, I don't think that he's going to be making such a huge impact for Milan, but let's see if I'm right or wrong. In any case, Milan is the club that has been making the most amount of moves this summer in the Serie A, and they went and bought reindeers from Holland. Now, they think this is going to be a huge success, but deep down, they know that we're the only club that can pull off reindeers. Alright, now let's move on to Inter, who are set to sell Onana for 50 million to Manchester United. But that's not the only goalkeeper they are losing this season, because Handanovic has also not renewed. But it's going to get even worse for them, as they're set to lose another one of their best shot stoppers in the team, Romelu Lukaku, who is about to betray them for Juventus in a deal that makes absolutely no sense, whichever way you look at it from whichever party. Why would Lukaku ruin for the second time his reputation at Inter, a club that has loved him twice now, to go to Juventus, who are in the Conference League and coached by Allegri, who is known to destroy strikers? And why would Juventus pay 11 million a year to Lukaku for it, plus the signing fee? Unless, of course, Lukaku believed a certain Juventino content creator who happened to suggest that it was Inter fans dressed up, attenzione, as Juventus fans who were racially abusing him. In any case, guys, this deal makes absolutely no sense, and apparently it all starts because Simone Inzaghi did not start Lukaku in the Champions League final. I mean, the audacity of this guy. He pretty much single-handedly stopped Inter from winning the Champions League, and now is upset that Inzaghi didn't start him. I mean, good riddance if he leaves that club for the good of Inter. Yeah, let's move to something a bit closer to home, and let's talk about Napoli. And I stayed up until midnight last night waiting for Kim to be announced to Bayern Munich. And as you guys know, the release clause was supposed to expire yesterday. And I've come to the conclusion that either nobody knows anything about this release clause, as that's been the case basically for the past year, with varying numbers on what that release clause is, on the different aspects of it, whether it's based off revenue of the club that's acquiring the player, whether it's Kim that has to pay the money, and so the club has to pay Kim, and Kim has to... Nobody knows anything about this release clause. But the other conclusion that I have... I'm not going to say it.
Go ahead, you got it.
All right, I'm going to say it. Are we sure that Bayern Munich sent the money to the owner of the right Kim. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. Yeah. I might edit that one out. Anyways, apart from Kim, De Laurentiis has spoken at great lengths this week about all sorts of different topics, including some of the other players, in particular Osimhen, who he said is definitely staying unless a crazy, unreasonable offer comes to his table. And then he spoke about the players that are on their last year of the contract, and he said, look, they have agents that are not doing what's in their best interest. These agents want players to reach the end of their contracts, but De Laurentiis said, I am not going to be bullied by these agents because I want money for my players. So either these players renew with me at a lower salary, or they bring me an offer and I sell them. Otherwise, they will be rotting on the bench. Now, on the one hand, I kind of agree with De Laurentiis about, hey, give me something to work with, give me an offer, and I'll sell you. But I don't agree that the other option is renew with me at a lower salary. I think that's completely unfair to two players who are in their prime. Was Lozano ever in a prime? Yeah. Okay, this is a player who's in his prime and another one who plays for Napoli who have just won the title, and they are capable of still delivering 38, 40 games a season for you playing as a starter. This is not the same as when Ciro Mertens or Insigne were towards the end of their contract in their 30s, or with Mertens' case, even his mid-30s, where you think, all right, you're not going to play with us many games, or you're only going to play 20 minutes, so I don't want to pay you the full salary. Please take a pay cut. Not only that, but they've just won you a title, so maybe a little bit of class could be nice in these cases. And De Laurentiis should at least offer a salary of, let's say, 2 or 3 years only, but at the same salary level. And speaking of players who are definitely staying, Napoli have just announced today the first signing, which is Gollini, which is not really a new player, which is why I'm saying that he stays, but we've renewed his loan, and that's a very good piece of business by Napoli. We've renewed the loan with a lower option to buy. I think it was at 8 million before, now it's at 7 million. And Gollini is a reliable pair of hands and has shown that he can play with the ball at his feet. He's shown that he can play at the big stages, and it's just a very good guy to have in the changing room. As you guys know, he's very into rapping and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure he's good fun, and it's good to have players here that have tried very hard to stay here, and I'm sure he was putting the pressure to Atalanta a lot in the past few weeks. All right, now let's talk about the shirts, and I must say that the shirts that we presented are absolutely beautiful, and Valentina De Laurentiis has done an amazing job. I love how they are different from one another. You've obviously got the first one with the tricolore on the sleeves and on the collar. It's beautiful. It's noticeable enough that you know who's won the title, but also not in your face. It's very classy, and with the Scudetto in the middle, a blue shirt always looks amazing. And finally, we got rid of Lete, so congrats to that. And then the white one, look, that's, I think, a very symbolic shirt. Maybe I don't like the fact that the photo of the city is imprinted on it, even though it's obviously very transparent. I would have maybe preferred just the outline of the Vesuvius and maybe the coast without an actual photo. But I think it's super nice that we carry the city around with us whenever we go and play away. And when other fans are chanting about the Vesuvius erupting, then we can say, yes, it's erupting a Scudetto. or erupted a Scudetto. Now, another very important aspect about these shirts is that we've changed our distribution sponsor from Amazon to eBay. And that, for me, as much as I love the shirts, is a bit of a downgrade. Because on Amazon, I feel like it was very easy, from at least the countries where I was from, to go on Amazon and find what was the official Napoli store inside Amazon. It wasn't perfect. I know that a lot of people in the States have complained about it, but I've just gone and Googled Napoli shirts eBay, and the first few links that appear on Google are all individual private resellers trying to sell Napoli shirts. It's not that easy to find the official Napoli store on eBay. I think if De Laurentiis wants to continue going down this self-production and self-distribution route, he's got to make sure that he can deliver merchandise to the same level as Nike and Adidas can, because otherwise the Napoli brand will suffer a lot from this. Now guys, to wrap this video up, I just want to go over the press conferences of Garcia and Meluso and just highlight the important things that they've said, which, to be fair, were not that many, because a lot of the questions were really bad. There were questions like, are you happy to be at Napoli? It's like, dude, of course I am. Like, why are you wasting a question like that? But Garcia said a few important things. He said he's looking for a young player to launch this season, because he likes to do that. He likes to take at least one player from the Primavera and see what he can do, which is very interesting for us. He said that he wants a physical midfield. So whoever is going to replace Ndombele has to be someone with physicality, a bit like Anguissa. He also said that he prefers a 4-3-3, but is open to changing based on the moments of the game. Now, this is an aspect where I think him and De Laurentiis need to get on the same page on, because De Laurentiis says, I just want a 4-3-3 because a 4-3-3 is better for me, and he's very adamant about that. Garcia says he might adapt based on the moment and based on who we're playing up against, and I just hope that we never get to a point where Garcia decides to start a game with something other than a 4-3-3. It doesn't go well, and De Laurentiis will surely make himself heard at that point. Other than that, Garcia said that obviously he wants to keep every player, but first, please let me train them. I really want to get to know the players before I comment anything about their position and if they're staying or going, but that he wants to try to keep all of them. And then we had the sporting director, Meluso, which was introduced today. And he said, guys, I know that I haven't played or worked at this level before, because he was at Lecce and Spezia and other smaller clubs, but that at the end of the day, if you know football, you know football. And the only thing that changes between Lecce, Spezia, and Napoli is the size of the numbers. But fundamentally, you're dealing with the same thing. You're dealing with a football and humans. And I found that to be very reassuring, someone who I think knows what he's doing. And let's see. The only thing I would say is that, yes, maybe it's just about different numbers, but it still takes some time to get used to that. A bit like how Garcia will have to take some time to get used to the players, a bit how the new coaches need some time to get used to the players, because a lot of the coaches have left us. But that's not to say that the start of the season will be slow or that we won't start on the right foot. I mean, they can hopefully get right up to speed during this preseason, and then we're good to go for when the season starts. So I don't want to start raising any sort of unnecessary alarm bells with anybody. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the week. And as always, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.